I'm glad you could all make it. This is such a interesting topic and a wonderful opportunity to look at type 4 through the lens of potentially one of the most famous fours on the planet. And with everything that's come out since Michael Jackson's death, much more has been revealed, not only about the language that he uses and what his preferences have been, but people that normally wouldn't have spoken about him are saying more and revealing more. So it's a great opportunity for us to look at what it means to be a 4 and the possibility of 4 and how we could see that in his younger years, how we see that in his facial expressions and micro movements and the language choices. And many of you know a lot, I'm sure, about Michael Jackson or are very interested, and we'd love any feedback that you want to share and text to us as we go, and we can respond to what we're familiar with.
And we are definitely experts on the Enneagram, and we are not experts on Michael, although I think our ability to assess his personality is probably pretty on the mark. So I simply say that because there may be many of you who are real hardcore fans that may know something that we don't, and if you have a correction, we're very open to that. This is an open forum to explore Michael's life. The inspiration for this webinar was that when I was watching all of the media exposure on Michael after his terribly tragic death, I was struck immediately by his 4-ness and the way that because of his celebrity and his charisma and his genius that he was able to demonstrate his Enneagram type 4 qualities on such a supersized level, really at mythical proportions. So as I mentioned in the webinar write-up, which I'd just like to read quickly now just to get us on the same page, that we see Michael Jackson as the quintessential Enneagram Social 4. If you know the instincts, that's an important distinction. We'll go into that a little bit later. He would certainly be described as original, creative, moody, shy, self-conscious, eccentric, certainly increasingly so as he aged, accomplished, mysterious, and complicated. And these are not just words that we've chosen or that people use about type 4. They're actually the words that many of the people around him have used in the news reports more than one time.
And friends.
And friends as well.
Friends, associates, different people that have been interviewed.
So, due to his popularity, his life was lived in public, so we have an unprecedented opportunity to view what he did, and it was documented at every turn, offering an unparalleled opportunity to see examples of type 4 played out on a grand scale. Exploring Michael's life reveals the traits of type 4 really supersized into mythical proportions. He was able to express his type on a level, on a grand scale that most of us are never really able to do because the demands of everyday life force us to often curtail the more far out expressions of our Enneagram type without some pretty severe social ramifications. But in this case of someone like Michael, that really wasn't true. He was able to express his type really in quite an extreme manner, and oftentimes because of his profession and his talent, it was simply viewed as being an entertainer or what he did.
And he had the financial ability to do so as well.
So Michael's life provides a powerful mirror to 4s about their own internal struggles and talents. This webinar is a masterclass on type 4, and you certainly don't have to be a type 4 to get something out of it, and we welcome all types here tonight. And we're going to take a lot of examples from Michael's life. We have pictures, we have quotes. In terms of music and videos, we'll post some of that on the website. It's kind of hard to show that on webinars, so we won't have much of that tonight, but I think we're all pretty familiar with his videos and music. They certainly have been all over the media. A couple of fascinating things before we start. I think it's worth noting that Michael is arguably the greatest celebrity in history. His facial recognition is the greatest, my understanding, of any human being that's ever lived. In terms of anywhere you go on the planet, people know who he is. His album sales since his death have skyrocketed. I know as of 2 days ago, his album sales on iTunes, out of the top 10 selling iTunes albums, the top 8 were his. So the public interest and fascination with him is far beyond the little bump you might get when a celebrity dies. It's this full-on Michael mania is back, just as we saw in the 80s and the early 90s, and which I certainly grew up, listening to Off the Wall and Thriller and seeing what happened with those albums. So what we want to do tonight to start is just to kind of begin with the basics on what it means to be an Enneagram Type 4. So to start there, I'm going to turn this over to Catherine.
Okay, can you turn the volume off so people come on and off? Is that possible? So they can still hear us, but they don't have to hear the ding. Okay. Well, I want to begin just a little bit with Enneagram Type 4, and we see the 4 as the romantic individualist. This is someone that has an expanded idea of what life is and could be, and usually in some sort of magical way. There can be sadness around what they don't have, what's missing, and they're longing for, but also about a future they may never possess, or a past that was painful. The identification is with the nostalgia and with the pain itself. 4s in general want to be gifted in some way and feel that they're very intuitive. Their greatest desire is to be original and unique, and spend most of their life trying to accomplish something that is representative of that uniqueness. Most importantly, they want to feel passionate and true to their feelings and authentic. And nothing upsets a 4 more than to feel they're acting in an inauthentic way. 4s are also the type that is both kind of avant-garde and sensitive at the same time, highly expressive and focused on spirituality, and can be very assertive and competitive when they're going after what they want, but still be shy and ill at ease and visibly self-conscious. In general, 4s want others to see them as idealistic, emotionally deep, and compassionate, and they generally find a way to demonstrate that ability. Even the most antisocial social 4 has a way in which they care for others or are concerned about people or animals on a grander scale. They may struggle with their intimates, but care very much for the well-being of perhaps the world or some area that they feel passionately about. The idealized image of the 4 is always about being accomplished in some exclusive, special way. Now, most 4s are striving towards this, and all 4s tend to feel that they don't measure up. We see this the most with social 4, and we'll go into a little bit more of that later. But in general, the social 4 has very, very high standards that they feel they can't live up to, and then feel resulting shame. Now, if you look at the collage, a lot of what is